All right, so welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at elimination. Our goal by the end of the week is to understand how to solve systems using elimination. So we're going to break it down into different levels. Today we're looking at level 1. So our goal when we're using this elimination method is to eliminate or get rid of our x's or y's by either adding or subtracting the equations together. Um, there's really two cases. You're going to add if one of your variables has the same but opposite coefficients. For example, if you're looking at both of your equations and you see a 5x and negative 5x, see how they're the same coefficient, the same number, but opposites, positive and negative. That means if you add them together, those would cancel out. Because like if you put like in a calculator, if you work this out, 5x plus negative 5x equals 0, or basically they cancel. Case 2 is if one of your variables has the same exact coefficients, and you're going to subtract if this is the case. Because like let's say you had the same coefficients. If you subtract 3y minus 3y, they cancel out. Because remember, when we're doing elimination, basically our goal is to get rid of or eliminate one of our variables. So let's kind of see how this works in a problem, and see how to solve it completely. All right, so example 1, we have 7x plus 7y equals negative 49. We have 7x minus 2y equals 5. So we want to look at our coefficients and see, do we have either case 1 or case 2? Well, looking at the y's, like 7y and negative 2y, that you have different coefficients. So the y's aren't looking too helpful, but the x's, on the other hand, see how you have 7x and 7x? So that is, if you have the same exact coefficients, we're going to subtract. So we're going to subtract these two equations. When we subtract, we have to subtract everything. So 7x minus 7x would be 0, or it just cancels really, so you don't even have to write the 0. 7y minus negative 2y. So make sure you add, like you put this minus. So like in your calculator, 7 minus negative 2. So if you do 7 minus negative 2, you'll get 9y. And then negative 49 minus 5. That would be negative 54. So if we divide this, we'll get our first part of our answer is negative 6. So that's our y. To get our x, we can plug it back into either one of our equations, and it's a little bit more like when you substitute in elimination, it's usually a little bit more work to get your second answer than when we were doing substitution. But I'm going to plug this into the top equation in for our y. So I will have 7x plus 7 times negative 6 equals negative 49. So I'll have 7x. We want to multiply this. So 7 times negative 6 would be negative 42 or minus 42. We would add that over. Then you would divide. So you would get your x is negative 1. So that is our answer. Let's look at our second example. So the first thing we want to look at is at our coefficients. Do we have any of the same numbers, or do we have the same numbers but opposites of each other? So if you look at our x's, I mean, we have a 10 and a negative 8. That's not going to work for at least what we know so far. But if you look at the y, see how you have a plus 8y and a minus 8y? If you go back to what I said at the beginning, and you might want to write down these two cases if you haven't. Actually, I'll leave that up. But in this case, I'll highlight it in red. We have the same but opposite coefficients. So we're going to add our two equations together. That's going to let us eliminate one of our variables. So I'm going to add this entire, and we have to add everything. We have to add the x's, the y's, and the constants. But if we add these together, 10 plus negative 8, if you put that in or work that out, that would be 2x. 8 plus negative 8 cancels. 42 plus negative 40 would equal positive 2. So you would just divide, you'll get x equals 1. So to get our y, we have to plug it back into either equation. I'm just going to plug it into this top one. So we would have 10 times 1 plus 8y equals 42. If we work this out, that would be 10 times 1. So we want to get y by itself, so we got to get rid of this 10. So we have 8y equals 32. Remember, that's multiplication, so we'll divide, and we'll get that our y is 4. So this is how you do elimination level 1. We'll see as we get further in this week, we'll look at cases where maybe you have to do a little bit of work to set it up to be like these level 1 questions, but this is the main idea of elimination. But remember, if you have the same but opposites, so like for example, 5x and negative 5x, you're going to add. If you have the same exact coefficients, you're going to subtract, because that's how you're going to get them to cancel. If you have the opposites and you add them together, they cancel out. If you have the same, if you subtract them, they cancel out. So it's all about eliminating our variables.